us later.
Yeah. Anyway,
Anywho,
so what else did we get into this week? Oh yeah, we all got into the whole Transformers thing. We saw the new movie. I went to Allentown and actually got to see some screen use props from Transformers movies, particularly the Optimus Prime truck from last night and Megatron from Dark of the Moon. So that was kind of a plus. There was a bunch of car enthusiasts who had, different cars made up like Bumblebee, Ironhide, Ratchet, some of the other Nest operatives, which was kind of cool. And then a random R2D2 because why the fuck not? But like I was telling Chris before the start of the show, 2 hour line to get in. Who knew Michael Bay Transformers had that kind of draw and that kind of fandom?
now,
Uh,
now, now that you bring up that there's something that can I'm sure you remember the show Red Green.
okay.
For the folks at home, Red Green was this, I want to say, self-aware Canadian comedy type of ordeal.
We always
It's
talk down to
where,
our audience if they don't get the end joke. Let us explain the
uh,
end joke. So it ceases to be
yeah,
funny.
Red Green was primarily I seen it on like PBS, uh, and it's where main character always like it. It was maybe like the Canadian version of Tool Time, kind of, sort of, where it's around. Instead of it being Tool Time, it was more like a Moose Lodge or something like that.
Yeah,
The
more
main
Canadian
character was
humor.
more Canadian humor, and the whole aspect was if uh, his motto was like, if a woman can't find you handy, she should. If she can't find you handsome, she should at least find you handy. And like duct tape is a man's secret weapon, sort of thing. It was all tongue in cheek and
The
that
maintenance
sort
guy
of
at
thing.
work believes that. He thinks duct tape and wire hangers is how you fix plumbing. So,
But one of the things that they were showing off one year, I don't remember if it was for like PBS's annual or biannual fundraiser, but the guy that plays Red, the old guy, went to a Red Green convention somewhere in the Midwest, and some motherfucker dressed up as a um, one of the I forgot his name. The It wasn't Spawn himself, but it was a character from Spawn.
okay.
It was like the one of the demon characters from Spawn. It was not the clown, but what the clown was supposed to look like.
Yeah.
It
Violator.
Violated. That's a like even Red was looking. And was like, "Who are you supposed to? I'm the Violator from Spawn." Like, you went as the Violator from Spawn to a Red Green convention. R2D2 and at a Transformers,
It's at least a robot.
at least a robot. And you know what? It's there. It's not like Red Green Canadian comedy.
What's his alt mode? A butt plug?
But it's or the whole aspect. Let's say if it was a Red Dwarf convention, R2D2 shows up. You could kind of see it. All right, maybe. At least the supposedly in one of the early episodes there was the TARDIS in one of the background scenes, hidden there. You could kind of see that, okay?
Yeah, it's kind
But
of like, you always get an away crew from Star Trek at a Renaissance fair. Ash Williams also shows up a lot at Ren fairs. So in some way, it can work.
uh, on that note, I did see it when I went to a Ren Fair one time. Did see got somebody dressed up as Superman, but it wasn't like the leotard Superman outfit. It was all done in chainmail and the cape, but it was pretty damn good. I credit him. I will give it the fact, especially if he managed to knit it himself. So, either way, back to Transformers.
So, anyways, Transformers. But yes, that was quite eye opening to see that Bayformers has that kind of fandom. But Maybe it's just me because, like, when I go to BotCon, it feels like a family because we're all there for Transformers. We're not there for Michael Bay per se. We're there because we like machines that turn into other things. Yeah.
Have that one guy, GoBots rock. They're
Actually,
better
there's
than
a lot of
people.
GoBots at BotCon, believe it or not. And since that's been incorporated in the Transformers lore, yes, Scovatron is now a part of Transformers lore. Um, yeah, it makes things real interesting. To me, it shall
Yeah.
always be Machine Robo.
Ah,
His name was not Cop Tour.
I'm thinking of all the robot chicken gags.
That was the point.
Yeah,
That's the joke.
that's the joke.
But it was very eye opening to see that that there's a ton of love out there even for the shittiest aspects of some fandoms. I mean, my kid grew up with the Transformers movies. I mean, I don't think there's a Transformers fan who hasn't seen some of the Transformers movies.
I'm
Uh,
sure you subjugated the little one to the original movie at some point.
yes, yes. Them and I, we quote it quite regularly. At the most inappropriate times. So, because there's some
There's
good
a
lines in there.
there's occasionally that I, as a habit, if you saw my I
First
have
we
a,
crack
almost
the shell, then we crack
it's
the nuts
it's
inside.
inside. It comes from that, in essence, that scene. In a way, it's I at times I'll have a hand tick. You know how it's not Tourette's or anything like that, but it's a hand tick. It's that my hand will do the same or a similar typing pattern to um, I forgot. I'm gonna the Autobots version of Soundwave. In that scene, he does
Blaster.
that blaster. He has that dit 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 and does that. I almost have. I've watched so many movies, that movie so many times. That's almost my hand take. I was like, I'll I'll do that as a
Mhm.
hand take. It's like from watching that so many damn times.
Goddamn
Not
blaster.
to damn blaster. I
Now
like blaster.
rock and
Now,
shout.
shout. I still function.
Wanna bet?
That's the best line was that
Starscream.
the best line in the original movie is what did he say his name was?
Galvatron.
Galvatron. Uh all hell Galvatron. And the thing is he got away with it too.
I had friends that like cut in those weird commercials that Orson Welles was in for that one restaurant. I don't know if you've ever seen the Orson Welles like commercials that he did before he died. And they'll
Yeah,
cut
that
in
he
like
was like drunk out most of the time because he actually drank the alcohol he was supposed to.
yeah, but like some of the one takes they'll just insert that over Unicron and I just lose it because it's hilarious. Hell, that wasn't
Overall,
even his last movie either. He did like this really big of a train wreck with just voiceover, and it recently got put out on DVD or Blu-ray. It's terrible. It's like Asylum level before Asylum was a thing.
the
Sean Connery
original
even has a movie like that, and that's just like, oh,
the thing is, I think they want to redo that. They want to redo the original movie. Like how it has its own level of perfection because yeah, even though there was problems with it, I'm sure, but you have to figure everything in that movie was hand drawn from the background. Everything was meticulously hand
everybody
drawn.
hated that movie when it first came out because how dare they kill Optimus Prime?
Right,
And now we've watched Optimus Prime die how many times?
right, and
Always comes back. He's like Robo Jesus.
and the commentary for the original movie, they're like watching it now, and like I can't believe how meticulously everything was, how detailed everything was hand drawn.
Yeah, like
And
Sumbo went all out. Not to say there wasn't animation errors, because there was
I'm
animation.
sure there's animation errors, but still, uh,
Hell, that movie
fact.
was the reason why G.I. Joe the movie went straight to TV instead of the theaters, and they changed the ending because they were originally going to kill Duke, and instead of Duke being dead, oh, he's in a coma, and then at the end,
Yeah,
oh,
you
he's
you could tell
recovered.
it's like everything in the GI Joe movie when you watch it. I think I watched it like 2 months ago. It was like everything leads up. It's like to him dying, but at the end it's like that little bit. Of, he's going to be okay.
Yeah, you could
Like,
tell they were like, "Ooh, we can't kill Duke. That would be a bad idea." And
and
I will say something about the G.I. Joe movie most people won't even mention, but the cosmic horror in that movie for the origins of Cobra was actually kind of cool because you kind of have like an H.P. Lovecraft like creature society governing all of this terroristic organization, and it's like awesome, you know.
it
I'm like,
wasn't even that. It's like the reason of it is they pretty much kicked out Cobra Commander because he was on the level of incompetent with them. Like, we're kicking your ass out, and his aspect was, "I'll show you,"
yeah,
and therefore the whole ordeal of him still being incompetent.
I don't know. He did show up in that one Transformers episode as Old Snake, if you recall,
So
where they
yeah,
stole the Autobots' bodies. They stole Hot Rod. Well, not Hot Rod. It was
I think he
Optimus.
was like a terrorist at some point,
Mm-hmm.
and all that in the later shows where they tried to steal. They turned all the Autobots into humans, but
You
in the
know,
later
there was definitely a hint that Hasbro was trying to create a universe, and
right.
that to me is the biggest thing because that GI Joe hint, if you kind of look at it from certain angles, it kind of puts Inhumanoids in with it, and a lot of people like to go, "Why are you fingering your camera?"
Oh, messenger. I'm doing this on my phone, and somebody keeps messaging me. Um, so I want because I can't turn down or turn off the messages on the notifications on that. I'm gonna have to tell them it's like, and I
I'm recording. Go the fuck
yeah,
away.
I'm recording.
But no, it just kind of hints that they wanted to do Inhumanoids. I always love when people like, yeah, but the human characters in Inhumanoids are not the same size as GI Joe, and I'm like, aha, that's where you're wrong. Because when you take the helmets off the Inhumanoid like hero characters, their heads are the same size as GI Joe's because that's supposed to be an exosuit for them, and so it's all part of the same universe. But for some reason, everybody wants to smash Visionaries in on top of it, and I'm like, that got what, a little tiny kids movie, like TV hour, one time little pilot episode, and that was it. We didn't even get a full series for Visionaries.
But there's a I kind of with this movie
You okay?
yeah, I was like I was hoping that it wasn't going to be like one of those aspects like, oh, you're going to still keep messaging while I just quickly message you that I'm recording, but he just left a thumbs up on the message. But I did enjoy this. There were I did have some. I'm not when I was watching. I was like, okay, when was this taking place? I was like,
90s.
when
They said that right at the
I
beginning, 94.
no, just it. That was my first impression when it was like, when is this taking place? It wasn't until maybe 5-10 minutes after uh, because I saw it. I was like, game. I saw a Game Boy. I was like, when is this taking place? Why are they using a Game Boy? Then all of a sudden, there's the clip of them talking about the OJ trial. I'm like, oh yeah, mid '90s. So that makes sense.
94.
94,
Yep.
and
Because Bumblebee took place in 84, 85, or something like that. And then this
yeah,
is a direct sequel to Bumblebee. And the Bayverse is no longer canon.
the main universe is no longer canon.
Bayverse is no longer canon.
That explains a lot of because one of the things put
Because
down was
Bayverse was going to make Unicron Earth.
yeah, that was one of the things I was going to do. It's like, why are they doing it like this? Because in the last of the Bay movies, because I wasn't really sure. It's like the last one's like Unicron was supposed to be Earth, and didn't in the first Transformers live action movie, Optimus Prime came to Earth,
Yeah.
and what is so many continuities with that. But
the first time they did Unicron as Earth showed up in Transformers Prime, that computer animated show that I want to say came out after the first trilogy of Bay movies. That would have been on I'm gonna say Cartoon Network, and it actually had the Earth as Unicron, which was interesting, and it was a new way to take it because it was a whole retcon in its own continuity.
Yeah, that's the thing. A lot of folks. I was talking after the movie. I was talking to somebody because I went to work right after it, and it's like, "Oh, did you see a movie?" Yeah, I went to see Transformers. Like, really? And it's like, yeah. Um, it. I saw a lot of influences of the original movie and the original storyline in it, and I said, "How would you like? Do you know the full, in essence, storyline of the Transformers?" Because a lot we saw Beastmasters here in the States. We saw the
Beast
bulk
Wars.
Beast Wars. We saw
Beastmaster is a whole other thing.
right.
And we're on OnlyFans, so I have to explain. We mean the fantasy movie, not any other thing that you found in the adult section.
The original
Or the dark
Transformer
web.
run, or the dark web. The original Transformer cartoon, which ended at the Headmasters, but did continue in Japan. But the thing is,
yeah, but they also had the Kiss players in Japan, and if you want to have a disturbing day, read about Kiss players, and that'll be like.
But again, this was all something I learned through YouTube in regards
Autobots
to history.
Powered by high school girl kisses. Need I say more?
But all in all, the main history, to kind of sum up in regards to Transformers, it starts out with what we know in the main 80s cartoon. And everything kind of leads up, and you have the Beast Wars, you have that whole aspect. And from what the history was told, the Transformers kept getting smaller, smaller, and smaller, and traveling through time. And thus, they make the whole history of what we see as main canon in the original cartoon. So that's why you
Optimus
have the
Primal says, "I am of your future and of your past."
In the movie, even that was in the I don't know about the CGI cartoon, but it's the whole aspect of
it wasn't. It wasn't.
That, not to mention the guy was talking about
timeline, essentially.
But in the cartoon, when I was explaining this, the guy was like, that explains the whole aspect of the different aspects of how the Autobots might have thought. They didn't see it, but it explains the phrase "till all are one," because everything came around full circle in regards to history and time, and everybody going back to time to restart
Ouroboros.
Everything back to make sure.
Smeg, I'm my own dad.
In essence, the Transformers of the far future went back, in essence, back around to, in essence, become the spark, everything to create the Transformers we all know. So in essence, we are one. It's not what the Autobots might think, hey, we're going to have peace between, the Autobots and the Decepticons again. But in reality, it was everything coming back around. We are all one, instead of it just being
a huge cycle, because the Autobots and Decepticons did eventually have peace, which led to the changes in basically Cybertron. Cybertron became techno-organic, and Megatron from Beast Wars took up the mantle of Megatron, creating what was known as the Predacons, because he had studied Megatron's teachings. And of course, Ravage was still around and somewhat sentient at that point. And as a result, he kind of became a renegade from this techno-organic Cybertron. And hence it started the whole Beast Wars because, Optimus Primal had to go after him, and they wound up in Earth's past, spoilers,
But
and wound up accidentally killing Prime and then fixing him, but yet somehow taking a spark into Optimus Primal, and yeah.
and the thing is, like, when I heard
It's
Nubian, I was like,
family.
what the hell? When they said Nubian in the movie, I was like, what the hell is a Nubian? Couldn't hurt like the whole Mallrats aspect. But
All I gotta say is they did my boy Jazz dirty because
and
Jazz is
what?
a Porsche 911. Sorry, Mirage is an F1 racer. I did like the fact that he did briefly turn into an F1 racer. Just a reference that should be the appropriate alt form.
And why did Surge look like a
Who?
wish for Surge?
Don't you mean Wheeljack with the glasses?
No, 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 no. I mean Surge. Surge was the main bad guy besides Unicron. He was a servant, the one that wanted to bring Unicron to Earth.
Surge. I thought you said
Surge.
Surge. Yeah, you said Surge. I'm like,
Surge.
the energy drink from the 90s was in there? That'd be
Uh,
kind of cool.
Scourge. Why did he look like a worse version of Saruman or whatever the main
I think he
main
was supposed to
thing?
kind of look like the Maximal symbol or the Terracon symbol a little bit because they refer to themselves as Terracon, which unfortunately Terracon has nothing to do with the Unicron. Terracon was a group of combiners that showed up in the whole Scramble City animation, which was kind of like these weird like tiny beast robots that merged into like one giant like Decepticon. Because that was the whole concept of Scramble City. You could mix and match different robots to make one big giant robot with different parts. Kind of like what you could do with Devastator. Now, Scramble City took place between the G1 cartoon and the movie. But that was a Japanese exclusive thing. And
And
it kind
folks that
of
are watching that are Lord of the Rings fans, I apologize for getting probably the wrong bad guy from Lord of the Rings. It's pretty much the person that created the One Ring, but still,
those Hobbit movies are so fucking boring.
even the trees walked.
The first
But
movie, the second movie.
the I did like the fact that it was kind of hard to. I've seen posts online in regards to the suit that I'll call him Sonic because that's what his radio name was. I keep forgetting what his real name was. The main human character. Um,
I
that
was
when
trying to look up
Mirage,
to see if he was canonically a Joe, and I didn't find anything that fell into reference with that.
but the whole aspect is like when he got the suit, in essence, from Mirage.
Mm-hmm.
I went two ways with that. It's like, were they referencing Headmasters or were they referencing the suit from the OG movie, the cartoon?
Or because you forget, Hasbro also owns Kenner, and what also had special suits and helmets with vehicles that transformed.
Mask.
Yeah, I thought maybe it was hinting toward that because Hasbro has been forever trying to make a Hasbro cinematic universe. Yes, I hear all the cringing out there, but they want to do that. They also want to incorporate Micronauts, which they own now, as well as ROM Space Knight, which has been very painful for Marvel because without Micronauts, this is why Quantum Mania sucked because a lot of the storyline from Quantum Mania had to be heavily adapted from when Marvel owned the rights to make Micronaut comics, and a lot of people don't know that. And ROM
Uh,
Space Knight had heavy ties to Marvel. Like,
the
there's a
thing
lot of
is,
characters that
with
they had
Mask,
retained.
it was just the helmets. Um, but with this, a lot of folks, at least on Twitter, that were talking about the movie, is that they were comparing it to the OG cartoon suit, where it was just the kind of like the having a piece here, like a metallic piece here, and a metallic piece, and a dome over
Yeah.
the head. Whereas the kind of the headmasters was kind of like fully encased suit
Yeah,
and
and you turn
helmet,
into a head and can help
and then you
the
turn to head.
robot. Yeah.
So that's why I got mixed vibes off of that, because at one point he had his whole body covered. And it's like you're going to have to take the wheel. I'm like, did they make a headmaster reference? But at times it was acting like the suit in regards to the cartoon movie,
There
in regards
was
to having the jump pack, the gun. The only thing it didn't do is form into a little car itself.
there was deleted scenes from the last night. Yes, I hate Bay movies, but the last night Cog, the little tiny Autobot, he actually could become a head and take over other robots' bodies. And there was supposed to be some sort of interaction with that in the movies in more than one situation, and it just hit the cutting room floor. But you could still tell it happened because the action figure for Cog could be converted into a head, and you could use it to pop off other Decepticons' heads so you could take control of it. And so it was a feature that only the people who collected the toys and weirdos like me would know.
I see. One of the things I noticed is that they continued a trope of, oh, we've never seen it happen before ever. Here's Mirage transforming for the first time. It's like, oh my god, we never seen this before, ever before. It's like, oh shit,
But at least this way, it was still robots in disguise, which I
right?
think the Bay movies kind of really were like stepped away from heavily. Because even Optimus and them were trying to keep low key up until they got to Peru or wherever the hell that was. And again, I love the movie for what it was. I thought it was great. It was a great companion piece to Bumblebee, as it should be.
And I
We're
like the fact
focused
that they
on one Transformer, which is the way it should be. You know, I hope if there's a third one in this series, they pick a character, they stick with that character the whole way through the movie. That's our arc. Instead of throwing every last character they can at us.
and I like the fact that they, as you said, if they do a crossover and not a cinematic universe, and it's just okay, let's kind of bring a little bit of GI Joe into it
They did it right.
and do it right. Right now, it's a hint, and it's like, hey, we're in a way we're here if you need us, or if you want to still contact it. Here's our card,
All
and
right.
but for right now, you don't have to worry about finding treatments for your little brother.
We got you
We are
covered.
here. We got you covered.
You
So
saved the world. Thanks.
save the world, thanks. And if you ever want reconsider, we're here.
Yeah.
And we that way, if for they could ease everybody into Transformers and GI Joe.
It kind of goes back to our conversation a little bit like we had the other last week in regards to cinematic universes. Like, just make good movies. Make a good movie. You can hint and wink that there might be a bigger story, but don't worry about that. Don't try to connect the big stories to all the little stories. Let some writer who's got the time to do that make
Right.
a good movie, have fun. That's why I like with my gag with Hector Ramirez, because that's something that did pop up in the cartoon. It popped up in 4 cartoons. You had Hector Ramirez as a reporter in G.I. Joe. You had Hector Ramirez pop up as a reporter in Jim, again as a reporter in Inhumanoids, and also in Transformers. And what cracks me up is like if you want to really hit a cinematic universe, get some big name actor to play Hector Ramirez. I can think of several off the top of my head that are some big name, Latino actors, and have them play that role and be like a news reporter in the background reporting on things that are happening in not that movie per se, but from the last movie, he's talking about the issues with, like, for example, the stuff that happened with Transformers in the foreign country, or you make another movie and he reports on something different from the last movie. And so that's connected, but if you're not paying attention, you don't know it's connected. Or as I was joking with my buddy Ken K the other day, Just have like this random big name actor show up on screen in the background scratching his ass and just do it in every movie, but don't mention that it's connected and it's just this weird famous guy scratching his ass because it's all part of the same universe.
What I was thinking, because I didn't realize that in essence rebooted things. I was like, what? Because of when this all takes place, and when did it took place? The first live action took place what, in
2007.
2007. What if? Because my thought in regards to Headcan was like, what if this character, the main character, was that uh crazy uh guy. I won't say
Guy
guy,
from
but
Sector
he was
7.
Sector 7. What if he was that? Just later on, he became that Sector 7 person, and that's
See,
why
when
he
they
has.
first when that scene first opened up, I was kind of thinking it was leaning towards Sector 7. I was like, oh, they already hinted that at Bumblebee. Let's just drop Sector 7. It's not working. Um, but I was glad when they kind of dropped the G.I. Joe logo. Well, the more modern G.I. Joe logo, which is the dog tag with the little eagle and star in it. And I'm like, okay, that's a little bit more easier for me to swallow. But again, like to me, it's too much. It's like make a Transformers movie, make a G.I. Joe movie, make it fun. Don't try to worry about connecting it until you get there. And then that's going to
Right.
be part of the fun, connecting it all together and how it all works. I mean, like the early comic books when they introduced like concepts of like GI Joe with Transformers, they didn't do that until Transformers Generation 2, when all of the Transformers were getting retrofitted and refitted, and it just so happened that Megatron sought out Destro and Cobra Commander like, hey, I kind of got alerted to the fact that you guys have this wicked railgun. I want it, and I need a body upgrade. Otherwise, I'm just going to kill all of y'all. And they're like, let's make a deal. We get some of your tech in exchange for giving you our tech. And I'm like,
I think that's what came out in the comic series or something
yes.
like that.
And I'm like, that is such a better storyline because you could see in international terrorist organizations like, they want our weapon of mass destructive. Yeah, but this thing's living technology and we get to poke around with it. Imagine what all we could figure out. And to me, that's a great way to bridge it because you could have completely different technologies in each film, but it would still work because it's kind of like shared technology at that point.
And it kind of work if you do it like we probably talked last week and all that. If it's done right, you let the fans theorize. You let the YouTubers theorize, like the Matt Pats and all that. You and us and everybody else
You just a hint,
theorize and
wink, and
just
nod, but you don't. You know what I mean?
right.
It's it's
Oh,
it's
we
like
could have went this way. We could
it's
have went
like
this way.
Universal. Do you really ever think that they sit down and thought, yeah, we're gonna put Frankenstein and the Wolfman in a movie? Fuck, they put Frankenstein and Wolfman in so many movies, they didn't even care about canon. They just had
Right.
fun. They made a fun movie. Hell, they even made one with Abbott and Costello in it. Okay, that tells you that they were
I'm saying it's like
fun.
they have fun with it, winking and nod to the fans, like, oh, we could have done this, but now that's stupid.
But the point is at the end of the day, yes, crossovers are interesting. Shared universes are mad money. But a lot of that stuff didn't come to pass until two people were like, hey, you have a pretty cool sandbox. I have a pretty cool sandbox. Let's push them together and see what we get. And it wasn't intentional. It was just two creators having fun, and playing in each other's sandboxes. And that's what it should be. It shouldn't be, how can we make multi-million dollars off this concept? No, have fucking fun with it. Who cares if it doesn't work? Sort it out in the details.
Or in the novelization, something like that.
Or just have
Then
fun
it
with it.
becomes like a Halo or a Destiny in regards to gameplay, where it's just, well, we're going to put 98% of the lore in the books, and all of you all that not reading the books, it's screw you.
Yeah, because as terrible as it sounds, and maybe it's just my old kid mind working, I would always love to have seen like the characters from Mask have to accidentally go up against Cobra plus a few Decepticons, and it's kind of like a three-way battle. And Venom's just sitting out on the sideline, like, let's let them fight and see who wins, and we'll take what we want.
Whoever wins, we win.
Yeah,
We'll just we'll just pick on the. We'll sit back, watch everybody fight, and we'll
we'll
just take
join the
notes.
winning side.
Whoever's winning, yeah, we'll join the winning side, and we'll pick up the pieces afterwards.
Yeah, exactly.
We'll be the level 1 folks following the level 50 through the dungeon or whatever. Just picking up, oh, take this, I'll take this, I'll take this, I'll take this.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, it's just a fun way of having it. It's kind of like what is it? John Favreau and what's the other guy? All time wears the cowboy hat. I can't think of his name, but it's the guys who do
Yeah,
Mandalorian. Like
yeah.
they do Star Wars right. And to me, just watching that show just feels like I'm playing with Star Wars action figures, or I'm watching some kid play with Star Wars action figures and just have a fucking blast. You know, it's like let's throw in Rebels. Oh yeah, let's throw in this really badass scene with Luke Skywalker. Fucking a, have fun with it.
Oh,